Something just stabbed me in my fucking toe. Got myself a Dr. Pepper because I'm out of Monster. Hey everybody, my name is Noah, welcome back to the show, and today I start a chain of Destiny related videos over the course of the next month or two. There'll probably be like an It's Canon now in between, so you know. There are a lot of things in Destiny that I want to talk about, but before I start talking about weapon customization or the subclass format or a possible Destiny spin-off that I came up with an idea for not too long ago, I wanted to start off with this sort of elephant in the room regarding Destiny, and that is whether Destiny 3 is actually going to happen or not. I'm going to sort of explain all of the points, why I think Destiny 3 will happen, more specifically why I think it'll happen next year, as well as I'm going to present some counter arguments as to why maybe it won't happen, or at the very least it's not going to happen for quite a long time. So first things first, obviously a lot of YouTubers have kind of talked about whether or not Destiny 3 is going to happen or not, and the first thing a lot of them bring up is the director's cut, which is very valid, because the director's cut is a huge piece of evidence as to whether or not Destiny 3 will actually happen, and it can kind of be worked to fit both arguments. In the director's cut, Luke Smith specifically states that Destiny 2 will not last forever. It's getting way too big, both metaphorically and also technically. From the metaphorical standpoint, obviously Destiny 2 is very bloated, it's very saturated with content. It has the same problem that I would argue Warframe has right now, where there's just a lot of content in the game, especially for new players who are just coming into this game and they see all of this shit that they have presented to them and they're just overloaded. I think Destiny 2 does a slightly better job than Warframe at presenting all of this content to new players. Like, hey, it's okay. We know that you're a little bit overwhelmed. You start with this over here. Start with this, and then like kind of explore. Whereas Warframe just kind of drops you on your face and just like, okay, have fun. We'll be over here if you need us. Just kidding. We're not gonna do shit. So I think Destiny 2 does a slightly better job than Warframe does, but it's still very overwhelming when you get into the game and you have all these quest markers lighting up saying like, hey, there's a quest over here, and you go pick them all up just to kind of get the notifications off the screen, but then you go to your quest page and you just see all of this shit like outlined in front of you, and you're just like, what do I do first? Not quite enough. Luke Smith has stated, you know, I don't want this game getting saturated with content to the point where it just overloads the brain and causes a fucking aneurysm. And then we get to the technical aspect where the game is quite literally at capacity right now. You want to know why Destiny 2 currently has this seasonal model in place where an activity gets introduced for a season and then once the season ends it's gone? It's because they quite literally do not have the space in the game to be putting any sort of permanent content. I mean, obviously they have a little bit of space left, that's why they were able to put in like Trials of Osiris. But for the most part, they do not have the space to be putting any sort of permanent content into the game, which is why everything is seasonal now. Everything is temporary. They have to do that. If they want to put in new content, they have to take away whatever they just put in, which is why they have the seasonal content model in place currently. And in my opinion, this actually makes a lot of sense, because first of all, Destiny 1 had the same problem. Not necessarily to the same extent that Destiny 2 does, but when Rise of Iron was coming out, the legacy generation versions of the game, you know, the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions, they did not have enough space for content. So when they released Rise of Iron, it was only available for current gen consoles, PS4 and Xbox One, because last gen consoles could not fit that content into the game. And then with Destiny 2, obviously I think this problem was sort of inevitable. Destiny 2 wasn't built to be like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14, I think it was. It wasn't built to last years upon years upon years. It was built to last 3 years. So you have to realize when Destiny 2 was being made, Bungie was still with Activision, and Activision had it scheduled so that Destiny 3 would come out 3 years after Destiny 2, just like Destiny 2 came out 3 years after Destiny 1. So Destiny 2 was built to last 3 years, and was built to house 4 expansions. The 2 small expansions during year 1, and then the big year 2 expansion, and then the slightly smaller but still big year 3 expansion. Under the assumption that it's coming out next year, Destiny 2 will have lasted 4 years and is currently housing 8 expansions worth of content. Possibly 9 if all the rumors about the fall expansion are true. So, yeah, the game is a little bit overloaded compared to what they originally projected. It makes sense that it's getting a little, at capacity, so to speak. And then there's also the Anon the 9 leaks. Anon the 9 very explicitly stated Destiny 3 is happening. And Anon the 9, Anon the 9, if you don't know, is someone that the Destiny community has put a lot of trust into as a leaker. Now obviously you should always take leaks with a grain of salt, but Anon the 9 has been right every single time that he's leaked something so far, and has never once so far been proven incorrect. Now obviously there's a possibility that Bungie changed their minds. Like, we were originally going to do Destiny 3, and Anon the 9 was correct, but we changed our minds to not doing Destiny 3. Fair enough. But then you also have to consider the fact that Bungie is going to want to make their own game, because they did not make Destiny 2 when it launched with the same mindset that they have now. On top of the fact that Activision had influence in Destiny 2. Bungie is going to want to make their own game with no influence from external sources. They're going to want to make their own little brainchild and release it into the world with no publishers or other developers sort of getting their hands all over their project. One argument that I can't really let slip is a lot of people say Bungie has limited resources. Bungie can't be making 2 games and also updating Destiny 2 at the same time. Bungie is a limited company. They don't have the resources for that kind of shit. Bungie is not this small child of a developer that can't be expected to do 2 or 3 things at the same time. Bungie has 500 employees working for them. They make approximately $300 million a year. That's what they made in 2019. And 2019, by the way, was the year that Destiny went free to play. So 500 employees, $300 million a year. I think it's safe to say they would be able to do this. Game Freak has been able to do more than that. Game Freak has a total of 150 employees, if even that, and they were able to develop Pokemon Sword and Shield, its expansions, and also Town, all at the same time. And Game Freak is not exactly the bastion of game development capabilities. Oh, my battery's dying, that's great. I'm gonna have to finish this video on my phone. Hey, I'm back. I couldn't find the adapter, the thing that goes on here for my phone, so I'm just gonna have to hold it up like this for the rest of the video. I hope you enjoy. Oh, and yeah, there's another thing that I actually completely forgot about until now. Yeah, Bungie bought back the IP rights to Destiny from Activision. They don't need the IP rights for Bungie to run the game. The only reason they would buy back, the only reason they would actually need the IP rights for Destiny as if they were planning to make another Destiny. So I don't think Bungie would spend millions of dollars, by the way, to buy back the Destiny IP from Activision just to sit on it and not use it. I think Bungie is going to want to make Destiny 3 in the future. One counter argument that I see a lot, and I do understand, and I completely get it, is that Destiny 2 right now is a free-to-play game. If they were to release Destiny 3, it would either be free-to-play, which wouldn't make sense. Free-to-play sequels don't really work in the same way that full-price sequels do. Or it would have to be full price, which, like, how on earth would Bungie convince the general population to spend $60 on a sequel? My arm's getting tired. I'm going insane. But that is a fair argument to say that, you know, Destiny 2 is free to play. Why in the hell would they make Destiny 3? I don't know. They would have to come up with something. They would have to come up with some way to make it so that Destiny 3 is worth paying for while Destiny 2 is still free to play. I guess in the meantime, the leaker did mention that the fall expansion will be announced in June, so I guess wait for that and see if this leaker's full of shit, or if he's actually worth his salt. And until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will hopefully see you all in the next video. This is Niall, signing out, and I hope you watching right now, I hope you have a good day today.